Welcome to my session. So all the audience, welcome for taking out time for this session today. And today I'm going to deliver something on how you can make data science easier while using Azure Machine Learning Studio. So before we start the session, I'll just like to give a little introduction about myself. So my name is Pragati Jain, those who don't know me, and I'm a Microsoft Data Platform MVP. I'm also one of the super user at Microsoft Power BI community. So if any of you guys are active there or is one of the user there on that community, then you'll see me very much active in helping others with the Power BI related queries. Then I have got nearly 10 plus years of industry experience. In my initial years, I have worked as a database developer. And then eventually I plan to move into data analytics and pursued my master's in data science and analytics. And then, from last few years, I'm working into data analytics industry. And currently I'm working as a senior data analyst at Trustpilot here at London. One fun fact about me is I'm a painter and I just like to proudly call myself a techie artist. And any of you guys who want to, message me or email me regarding any questions or queries about the session or related to Power BI, then I've got my own blogging website that is datavibe.co.uk. You can drop me a message there. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter. I have included my Microsoft Power BI community profile link here, and I'm also on Instagram. So I'll be sharing this deck in the end with the organizer. So basically you can grab it from them. So before we start the session, I'll just like to lay out kind of a plan, like what I'll be covering in today's session. So I'll just show you the basic agenda that I have come up with for today's session. So we are on track, like what we are going to cover today. So for today's session, my agenda is, I'll start with giving you a little bit introduction about what Azure Machine Learning Studio is, and how we can really use it to just create like a simple no-code predictive algorithm there. So we'll start with few things. So I'll give you an introduction, and after that, I'll just start importing a data set in Azure Machine Learning Studio environment, and I'll just try to explore that data. So, just seeing few data points, like what all that data has got, what we really need to work on, what we need to clean further. I mean, if we really need to clean our data, or what we are going to predict using whatever algorithm. Then the next step will be, I'll try to create a simple drag and drop environment for you where, you can drag different nodes, connect them, and just get your predictive algorithm running in a few minutes. Then in the end, we'll try to evaluate the model which we'll be using. And we'll also try to look at few performance metrics to judge whether your model performed well or not. Then in the end, I'll also share a few resources which I myself found useful to get starting on Azure Machine Learning Studio. And in the end, I'll also take any Q&A if there are any questions. Even in the middle, I'll finish some part of the session and then just take some question and answers. So without waiting for any more time, let's just get started. Okay, so what is Azure Machine Learning Studio? Now, Azure Machine Learning Studio is basically a cloud environment, it's a cloud environment which gives you capabilities to, create a machine learning algorithm with a low code or a no code option. In this session, we'll be looking at a no-code option. I'll not be going into low-code option. So basically, you don't need to write a single line of code to create a machine learning algorithm in Azure Machine Learning Studio. Now, what are benefits of this Azure Machine Learning Studio, especially when you are a beginner and you're trying to start with it? Now, I can totally relate to, because I started as a beginner a few weeks back, and I can totally say, if you don't know coding, it's fine. If you don't know R, you don't know Python, and you don't know how to, code a predictive algorithm using any of the technical languages, it's fine. You can still get started with Azure Machine Learning Studio, because the best part of it is it gives you a no-code environment where you can just drag and drop and create a predictive algorithm in a few minutes. Then obviously it's a drag and drop interface, guys. It has got basically like a designer environment where you've got like different nodes. You start with your raw data, start adding nodes like what you want to do, and create an algorithm basically. Then those of you have got any background in data science, it is beneficial, because obviously creating a predictive algorithm or a machine learning algorithm needs some level of basic information, like, what these algorithms are, in which scenarios, which kind of algorithm you should use, and then like few terminologies like what a label is. So label is basically something that you're trying to predict on the basis of different features. Now, features could be characteristics, historical data in your historical data. So if you know the basic concepts around data science, then it's easy for you to get starting. But if you don't know, don't worry about it, because there are many data science basic resources out there which you can just get started with. And once you're comfortable, you can just pick up Azure Machine Learning Studio and create your first ML algorithm ever. And the other thing is, I would say, like, this cloud, and obviously Azure ML Studio resides in a cloud environments. So it is accessible everywhere with secured functionality. So you're accessing it from everywhere, but still it asks you proper login credentials so you can access it from everywhere. And it is easily scalable as well. And last but not the least, don't think Azure ML Studio is something that is only designed for data scientists. No, if you are not data scientist, if you're just a data analyst like me and you still want to, do some exploratory analysis, and then on top of it, you just want to learn, or run some basic predictive algorithm, you can easily do it, because it is very easy to learn as well. And it is quite flexible. So let's see in the further slides what we are going to do. Now, first thing, I think whoever wants to start with Azure Machine Learning Studio, the first thing is you need to have a proper Azure account and an active subscription. Now, there are two ways of getting active subscription. The first way is you can basically get a free account, which is basically, available for 12 months with some free services. And you also get free Azure credits of USD $200. Now, Azure credits USD $200. That means Azure charges you for everything you do in the cloud environment. Okay. So you can, as a beginner, just start with a free account and get started. And the second way is you can get a paid version as well. If you think like you are really using it at a high level, then you can actually get a paid version. And the best thing is it has got pay as you go service. So basically Azure won't charge you anything for what you don't want to do. You can just take pay as you go service. Suppose if you just want to use it for a few months, you can just pay for a few credits and use it. You don't have to pay like for the whole year and get started. So that's how you can get an account. And I've included a link here from where you can create an Azure account. Once your account is set up, then obviously we have to create a machine learning model within this environment. So we need to create a space within this environment under which we'll be creating our algorithm. So for that, we kind of require a machine learning workspace, which I'll be showing you how to create. And further down the line, we'll have to create some kind of computations. So computations are more around like different virtual machines, which give you some inbuilt capabilities on top of which you can create your machine learning algorithm. So let's just, look practically how we can do all these things. So I'll be toggling between or switching between this deck and my browser, where I'll be showing you, how we can create stuff. Now, once you have a proper Azure account set up, and once you log in, you end up with something like this. So I have basically, signed up for a free Azure subscription here, which is, just available to me for next 12 months. And I've been given 200 USD worth credits there, which I can use to, use them at a beginner level just to explore what Azure can do. So I've got a free subscription here. Now, the first thing, as I said, we need to build a predictive algorithm or a ML algorithm. So we need to define a workspace or area for it. So the first thing what you do in Azure is you create a resource for it. So the simplest thing is use this option, create a resource. Once you click on it, you can search what kind of resource you can create. Now, in this case, I want to create a machine learning resource because I want to use the services related to machine learning, right? So the simplest thing is just type search and search for machine learning, hit enter, and it shows you machine learning. So the first thing is machine learning, and just choose that. Once you choose that, hit create, because we want to create a machine learning resource. So once you hit create, you see a few things there, like you can see a subscription. So my subscription is the free Azure subscription. So that's what I've got. Then you need to define a name for it. So you can define a name, for example, ML resource and maybe learn. I mean, you can give whatever name you like. I mean, I'm just giving you a view how you can do that. So just give a resource group name. Then you need to create a workspace on top of a resource. So like where you want to create, where you'll be creating your model. So you can similarly give a name for your workspace. So for example, ML workspace learn. So that's a workspace. And rest of the settings here, don't bother to look at that. It's fine. It's by default taken on based off your subscription. Okay. Once you hit review and create, so basically it's trying to validate the information what you have entered. Okay. And once you see that validation is passed, you can hit create. Okay. I'm not hitting create because it takes at least 3-4 minutes to create that resource. And I've already in advance created that resource. So once you hit this create, and if you go back to home, you'll end up with something like this, ML workspace. Okay, the name of my workspace is ML workspace. Just now what I gave was ML learn workspace. So you'll see that workspace name here, okay? And once that workspace is created, go to the workspace and launch the studio. Now this studio is basically Azure Machine Learning Studio, where we'll be trying to create our compute resources on top of which we can create our predictive algorithm. So once you hit launch, I'll just open it in a new tab. So this is what a machine learning studio is. Now, once you open it for the first time, you can see few things, okay? So the first thing, if you see, so machine learning studio, Azure Machine Learning Studio gives you different ways of, creating machine learning algorithms. The first way, what this is about notebooks. Now, those who work with, Python, R, or Python SDK, Databricks, and other places, the notebook word should be very much familiar to you. So notebooks are basically a collection of different scripts written in a particular language. It could be Python, R, SQL, Java, whatever your language of choice. So this notebook area is the way, which is a code-based way to create machine learning algorithms. So in Azure Machine Learning Studio, you get a code-based way to create your predictive algorithm. Then the second way here is automated ML. Now, automated ML is more around Azure on its best judgment. What it does is it just runs multiple different predictive algorithms on your data, and in the end just tells you the best model that worked well on your data. So that is what automated ML is about. The third one is designer. So this is what we'll be looking at in today's session. So designer is more around, I would say, the easiest way a beginner can start creating a predictive algorithm in this environment. And designer is more around drag and drop stuff, what I was just talking about. So we'll be creating a design. We'll be using a designer way to do that. But before doing that, as I mentioned, okay, let's just have a view on what's the basic principle towards creating a predictive algorithm. Now, how the data science principle works is once you have your data in place and you know what you want to predict using what, then the first thing what you do is you try to, split your data in a train and test set. Because how things work on data science principle is you need to train your data on a certain proportion of your data set. And the remaining data set you need to use is to test your algorithm. And once you have tested your algorithm, you can compare your predictions with the actual values. That's what the steps we follow here. Once I create it, I think it will be more clear. But in the Azure, once you have got an Azure resource, Azure machine learning resource in place, on top of it, you need to create some compute instances. Now, compute instances are basically used to handle all the computations that you will be doing on your predictive algorithm. So for example, as I said, when you create a machine learning algorithm, you train your data and then you test your data and then you evaluate your model. So these are different computations, and to get these computations done, you need to create a compute instance. So just consider it like a virtual machine, which you are going to create within your Azure machine learning resource, what we just created. So for that, what you can do is on the left, there's something called compute. If you click on that, so I've already created a compute instance because when you're creating these things for the first time, they may take a few minutes, but I'll show you the steps, but I won't create it completely. So suppose if you want to create a new compute instance. So for that, what you do is you click on new. you give a proper name to it. So like, for example, I'll give test compute instance. Okay, it says the name is already taken. I'll just add some number to it. Okay. So you give a compute name, and the main thing here is we are just doing some, less heavy processing here, because we are just using a designer, and I'll be using a very simple data set to create a simple regression model today. So for that, you need to select the best option. So in my case, I'm just using CPU because it's not a heavy processing for me. And for the VM, I'm just going with the recommended options, but I'm changing it to more memory optimized way, because this option is more better if you're trying to do some light testing, not the heavy processing. So I'll just select the basic ones because I'm just testing few things here. And once I hit on create, it will create the compute instance for me. Okay. And once it's create the compute instance, I'm just closing the window because I've already created a compute instance for me, for myself for this session, because it takes at least 3-4 minutes to get created for the first time. So I'll just close the window. I'll leave it and I'll just start this because I've just stopped it. So once you create your compute instance, something like this appears here and the state of it becomes green, that now it is available for you to use. Let me go back to the deck. In the meantime, it's starting. So once we created a compute resource, then we need to create two things there. One is compute instance and one is compute cluster. So we just created compute instance, which is more around, that will be helpful in running the computations relating to our model testing. And the second one is compute cluster. So just consider compute cluster as a VM again, and it will just help us to do any computations related to the model training. Then I've just, taken some screenshots around, like I've just mentioned, like what kind of different, options you need to use for creating a compute instance. We'll create a compute cluster now. I think it should have been, okay. In the meantime, compute instance is getting started. We need to create a compute cluster as well. So I already created one, but I'll show you how to create it. Again, hit new. Location is this, that's fine. It will by default come. You don't need to worry about it. We need a dedicated capacity. It's fine, CPU. So these are the, basic recommended settings while you're creating a virtual machine, okay? Whether it is compute cluster or it is compute instance. The only thing I change here is use more optimized memory-based VM. So once I hit next, it will ask you to give a name. So we can give the same kind of name, compute cluster, something like this. And here, generally, it is mentioned that you should define maximum number of nodes as 2. Oh, why it is coming 5? Sorry. And once you hit create with these basic settings, a cluster is created, okay? This cluster we'll be using as a VM to run all our computations related to the machine learning algorithm that we'll create, okay? So I'll just close it because I've already created it for you. So we have got compute instance. You can see it is running. And the good thing in Azure is you get notifications here, okay, whatever you have done. So I was playing around with few things before the session. So that's why I've got few different, notifications here, but I'll just close them, okay? So I have got my compute instance running. My compute cluster is already in place. Now let's get started on how we create a machine learning algorithm, okay? I'll just move this somewhere else. I don't think I can move it, but that's fine. Okay, so now to create a machine learning algorithm, let's go back to the deck. Okay, we have got this, okay? So the first thing what you do is you create a pipeline here, okay? So on the left, there's something called pipeline. When you hit that, a new window opens. And in that pipeline, you need to create new pipeline. And whenever you create a new pipeline, it asks you to select a compute target. Now, compute target in our case is something what we just created, the compute cluster. So when I hit that, it tells me by itself, like, this is the cluster that you have created within your environment. So select that and save that. So once your cluster is defined, you can actually start dragging, dropping stuff and start creating your algorithm. Now, I'll just see if there are there any questions to this point, guys? Is everything clear? Or should I continue? Okay. Cool.
Encourage anyone who has a question to raise their hand or put it in the Q&A.
Yeah, definitely put the questions. I mean, interrupt me, Kathy, if you think there are any questions. Okay, I'm happy to take the questions. Yeah,
will do.
Thank you. Okay, so now we have got everything set up, on top of which now we can actually create a machine learning algorithm. Now, if you guys are really beginner like me, then you'll just love how we do this. Okay, so little background, what data we'll be using. Now today, what machine learning algorithm we'll be creating, it will be a regression kind of technique. Now, I think there was a session earlier in this conference where there were details given about regression techniques, but I'll just like to tell you an overview what a regression is. Now, suppose if you want to predict something like sales price in next 2 months of a brand, or maybe a sales price of a car in the coming months or coming weeks, then here you're trying to predict something which is continuous and numeric. So when you're trying to do something like that, then you use the machine learning technique called regression. So today I'll be using a sample data set, which is more around, automobile pricing of a car. And we'll try to create a simple regression model on top of that to predict the price of the car. So let's bring in the data set first. So on the left here, you can see so many things here, like for example, sample data sets. These are the sample data sets, provided by Microsoft in Azure environment, which you can just play around with and apply different machine learning techniques in it and see how different modules are working on them. Then you have got different kind of data transformation steps you can apply on your data set. Then further down the line, if you see there are different kind of machine learning, there are different kind of machine learning algorithms that you can apply on top of your data set to get different kind of predictions. So we'll start with bringing in a data first. So I'll be using a sample data set on automobile pricing data provided by Microsoft. Now, these just seem to be like nodes to me. So basically you can just drag and drop them here. So once I drag the automobile price data, I get this kind of information, like the name of the data set is this. It is a global data set because I think it is freely available on internet, so you can get it from other places as well. I think it's available in machine learning repository somewhere. So this is basically the automobile data. And the first thing, which I just forgot to do, we are trying to create a automobile pricing prediction experiment. So I'll just rename the pipeline at the top, because that default name doesn't make sense. So I'll just create a automobile price test. Okay, so that's the name of the experiment we are creating. Now, the first thing, we have got the data. Let's explore the data. So what you can do is just right click on the node, and there's something called preview data. So just click on that. Once you click on that, you see the first thing, the total number of rows in this data set is 205, and number of columns we have got 26. So that's a high level information that we have on this data. Then if you see, then we have got different kind of, characteristics of a car here as different columns, like fuel type, their make, like what's the brand, then aspiration, the number of doors we have got. Then we've got their body style, their drive wheels. And if you go further to the right, you have got so many characteristics of a vehicle, like height, engine type, number of cylinders, fuel system, bore, stroke, everything. So some things are very detailed for me, like horsepower and everything. Then in the end, you see something like price. So this is something what we are going to predict. So in data science terms, price column becomes a label for us, okay? And any other column in this data set becomes features for us, because we'll be training our model using all these features to predict our label price column. Now, suppose if you click on these columns, suppose if I select price column, on the right, I can see some high level distribution about the column data. So for example, so you can see the statistics, like mean value in this column is this much, median is this, minimum is this, maximum is this, and so on. You can see unique values is 186. There are just 4 missing values, and obviously it's a numeric kind of feature. And at the bottom, you can see like a small histogram showing you the distribution. Similarly, you can see the other columns, like, for example, let me show you one column like normalized losses. When you click on this column, and if you see its statistics, you can see this column has got like 51 unique values. And we have got 41 missing values. Okay. And 41 missing values looks like a bigger number to me when I compare to total 205 rows in this data set. So maybe normalized losses is a column which we can ignore while training our data set, because when you have features like that in your data set on which you're trying to train the model, and if they have missing values, the model can actually lead to some wrong results. So it's better to either fix them. So by fixing, I mean you can just do some kind of transformations, like for example, just replace them by some min value or mean value. But here, the number of missing values are a lot. It's not like just 3 or 4 rows, which you can just replace. It's a lot. So it looks like we can, just ignore this column for going further down. But then if you see a few columns, like for example, bore. Now this column has just got 4 missing values. If you see stroke, this column has again got 4 missing values. If you go further down, then horsepower has just got 2 missing values. Similarly, if you see other columns in this data set, they don't have that many missing values when compared to this normalized loss column. So let's, just ignore this column when we go forward. So this is how you can explore the data and get some high-level statistics around the different columns and the distribution here. So once you're happy with the data, the next thing what we need to do is we need to make sure we are using the right columns to train our model further or build a model. So what we'll do is we'll just select columns, because as we just explored the data, we just analyze like that one of the column has got so many missing values. So let's just remove it. So what I'll do is to select the number of columns in your data, there's a node called select. So you can just search it. I mean, it's too easy. You don't need to know everything in first hand. You can just do a normal select. And when you type select, you get different suggestions. Now, what I want to do is I want to select columns from my data set. So I'll just drag this row. Okay. And this will ask me to select columns what I want to go further down for building my model. But before doing that, I'll connect this node to my raw data. Okay. And now I'll go there. I'll click on this edit column because I want to select columns which I want to use, right? So when I click on edit columns, I'll just select the columns by name because I know I want all the columns except the normalized losses. So what you can do is you can just add every other column. Once you hit the plus sign here, you get every column here, okay? So you can just go and add them. Or you could have added everything and then just remove that normalized losses, but you can do it either of the ways because we know we are just removing one of the column. So we just don't need it. So we just save it. So basically this node now will take into account all the columns apart from the normalized losses. Now the next step, what we should do either is, we should actually do is, you remember we saw some missing values in few columns, like there were 3 or 4 rows in most of the columns which had missing values. So maybe we can just clean them up because let's just not take a risk. Let's have a cleanest data we can have to train our model or build a model further down. So for that, what we'll do is there's a node called clean data. So I'll just search for clean and I'll just bring this clean missing data. Okay. For this, what I'll do, first thing I'll do is I'll just connect it with the previous node because that's the next step which comes after select columns in dataset node. Then I click on it. And what I want, I need to select the columns I need to clean. So I go to edit column. Again, I'll do the same thing by name. I can do one thing. I can add all and I'll just remove the norm because see, this column has been already removed in the previous step. So make sure you have removed it in this step as well. I want to clean all of my columns. And what I want is, as there were just like, 2 or 3 rows that were having missing values. So, that there is a different kind of cleaning mode you can select, like replace with mean, replace with median mode, and so on. But what I'll do is I'll just remove those columns remove those rows because those rows were like a very, very small proportion, like just 2 and 3. So that's the rule we'll use here to clean our data. So we have got few things in place. We have got a raw data. Then we selected the columns which we want to take further down to build the model. Then we tried to clean our data by just, ignoring few rows which had missing values in them. Now, the next thing, as I mentioned earlier, whenever we create a machine learning algorithm, we need to split our data into two sets. One is trained data and one is test data. So basically you train your data on a certain proportion of data. You train your model on a certain proportion of data. And once you're happy with that, you use those results to test your data on a small proportion. So for that, what we need, obviously we need to split our data into two parts, train and test. So we'll use a node named split. So something like this. Oh, sorry, I just misspelled it. So split, once you do that, you get a node name split. Now I want to split my data. Okay, so make sure you're, just providing the input properly. So I got my cleaned data to my split node. I click on that. Now how I want my data to be, I want 70% of my data to be my trained data set and remaining 30% as test data set. But this number is something, it's not standard that you need to take 70%. You can take 75 as well. Or you can take 80 or you can take 65. Anything works, okay? It's more around testing. I mean, just, iterating it with multiple combinations. Like maybe in the first iteration, you take your trained data set as 70%. Get you some output results. If you're not satisfied, try to play around with the size of the trained data set. Okay. In the next iteration, you can take like 70%. So that's how you can try it. But I'm taking 70% for now. And I want it to be, split on a random basis. I just don't want top 70% rows to be my trained data set. I want a random split. That's why I'm trying to take this as true. So once, and yeah, obviously for random split, you need to define a seed, and the seed is just like a number to randomly split your data. It can be anything. So this is how we have split the data. Now, once we split the data, the next task comes train your data, right? Now for train your data, you should have something in mind. Like for example, when we saw our data, we know that we are trying to predict a column called price, and that's my label column, right? Which I'm trying to predict. And this is a continuous value, which is numeric. So we are going to use a regression model for it. So what we'll do is, as we know, we want to train a regression model, we'll try to bring in a regression model node here. So I'll be using the basic linear regression here, and I'll just bring that node here. Okay. Now, what I'm going with here is I'm just going with the default options. I'm not playing around with any of the parameter settings here, because in this session, I want to show you guys on an overview or high level how it is too easy to use Azure Machine Learning Designer for a beginner like us who don't know the technicalities here. So that's why I'm going to use all the default options I can. Okay, and yeah, so we have got a linear regression model, but on what we'll train the linear regression model? We'll train it on a trained data set, right? So we bring in a train node here, which will be something like train model. We bring it here, okay? Now, in train model, our first input should be a trained data set, okay? So I'll connect my split data to my train model node. And on this trained data set, I want to run a linear regression. So I'll connect this node here. Now, once you click on train model node, once you've connected it properly, it asks you, what is your label column? Click on the edit column. And we know our label column is a price column, right? So we select that, we save it. So we have, and your modern explanations, I'll set it to true, because when you're trying to, score the model and evaluate the model, in the end, you get some proper performance metrics displayed, like how your model has performed. That's why I'm giving this model explanation as true. Okay, so we have created a train model node. Now, once a train model is done, we need to test our trained model on a test data set, right? So for that, we use something like scoring. So there's a node called score model. We bring that. Now, we want to score our model on the remaining data on our split node. You remember on the split data, we split the data into two portions. One was train, one was test. So this left portion here is using that portion of the data, which is our trained data set. And the remaining data set is given to the score model. And we'll be scoring our model using the predictions coming out of our trained model, right? And once that is done, just the final step is remaining. We'll evaluate the model. This is the main thing where we want to get to, because in the end, we want to see how well our model has performed. We drag that here and we just give it a previous as an input. So in our way, we have got like a layout, what we really want to bring in, okay? Now, once you have got all the steps in place, I mean, we can just go through it. We got a data set. We selected the columns from the data set, which we want to use further down to build a model. Then we did some kind of cleaning. So in this case, what we did was we just removed the rows which had blank rows in it. So after clean missing data, we get the ready data. Like that's the final data we'll be using further down to build our predictive model. So we go there and then we split the data because we want to train our data first and then test it and then further evaluate it. So the split data node gave us something like trained data. We added to the train model. And what model we are training is, we are training a linear regression because we are trying to predict a numeric value, which is price. When a model is trained, we test it, which is done using scoring. So we input the remaining part of the data to the score model, which will be 30%, because 70% was our trained data and remaining 30% will be our test data. And whatever outputs we got from a trained model, we'll be using them to score our model and test it. And once that scoring is done, we'll evaluate the model. So once you're happy with these steps, what you can do is you can just hit submit. Okay. Now, once you hit submit, I'll just show you. Once you hit submit, it will ask you to create an experiment. So maybe you can give an experiment because this is your automobile predictions. Okay. And you can submit it. Now, once you submit it, your experiment is running. Okay. Your experiment is running means it's doing the job step by step. Okay. Now, what I did was like this experiment takes few minutes to run. So I actually have a ready-made experiment already here for you guys to show. So once that experiment fully runs or executes, you end up with something like this. Okay. It shows you all your nodes have, finished running. Now, once every node has, executed, what we can do is we can just check what that node has done, right? So what we'll do is, once we had the raw data, we selected columns in the data set. So to see the output of a node, what you do is you just right click on it once it is executed. Okay. When it is executed, this turns green. And I can show you when it's not executed, it shows you something like gray, preparing, or, queued, something like that. But we have already, I've just prepared a model because it takes time to execute 10, 15 minutes it takes. So now I want to see what this step did. So what we'll do is we'll just right click on it and we'll just preview data and select this. So this is basically our column selection node. So what we did was, if you remember, we just removed the normalized losses column, right? And if you see further down, we don't have that column anymore. So that's what that step has done. So it shows you that it has done it, okay? That way. So you can even click on them and see the distributions. So that's what that step did for us. The next thing was we cleaned our data. So again, you right click on it to see what this node did. You can again go to and preview data, clean data set. Now, if you see in the clean data set, number of rows are just 193. Okay. I'll show you back. In the actual data set, we had somewhere around 200 rows, 205 rows. And when we cleaned the data in the clean data step, in the clean data step, we just removed the rows which had missing value. So we just lost few rows and we just ended up with 193 rows. That's fine. It's not a very big number of rows that we lost. So that's what our clean missing data node has done. After that, we split the data. Now let's right click and see what this has done. If you go to preview data on split data, it shows you two data sets. Okay. One is your result data set one is your result data set two. Now, result data set one here is your bigger part of the data, which you had used for your training purpose. So that's what it shows, 135 rows out of 195 rows. So that's 70% of what we were left with. And this is our trained data set, right? And if you go back and see the result data set 2, it will show a smaller amount of data set. So you'll see there are just 58 rows in that data set, and that's a test data. So split data node actually split your data into two parts, train data and test data. Now, linear regression, okay, that's fine because that's just a model. We are trying to train on our train model, and you can actually see this, I think. So once you, yeah, this won't give us much information because this is just a, model node. But train model, once the train model has executed, we have basically trained a linear regression on a train data set. So let's see the output, what it has given. So once we go to train model, it shows us that it has generated some kind of output. We can see different kind of files here. Okay. Let's see the data actually, what data it has got. So once we go to score model and score data set, so what this node has done, it has used a trained model output to generate some predictions. Now, when you scroll to the right, you see a new column here, scored labels. Now, scored labels is the column which is our predictive values, and our actual label is the price column. So you can see the scored label node has added a new column, which is our predictions. And when you click on it, you can see its distribution as well, like what's the mean value, median value, min, max, and everything else. So this is what a scored node has done. Now let's go to the last node. Now last node where our data is actually evaluated. So what I mean by evaluation is it will just compare your final predictions with the actual values. So basically it will compare your scored labels column with your price column, and it just comes out with some output. Now these outputs are basically few metrics on which you judge your model, whether it has performed well or not. Let me go back to the slide deck so that I can show you some description. Okay, this is something we did. So this is what we already did, and we already explored like what every node has, performed and what was the output on every node. And once we go down, we can, and this was something I showed you, like how the scored data set has been created. It has created a predictive label for you against every actual value. And further down the line, when you see the output of your model, so output of your model is basically the final output is the evaluation of the model, which you need to do based on the few metrics. Now, as this is a regression model, it came up with some few numeric metrics. So for example, the first one is known as mean absolute error. This error is basically, just the difference between your actual and predicted values. So in our case, our actual values are price column and scored labels is a predicted value. So difference between these two just gives you mean absolute error. And in general terms, if the value is lower, then your model has performed well. Okay. Then the next metric is a root mean squared error. So root mean squared error is just in a way similar to the first mean absolute error, but the only additional thing it takes is like, it just takes like square root of the squared differences between your actual and predicted values. So these are basically some numeric calculations, which are, shown as some metrics on based on what we can actually judge the performance of the model. Then the third one is a relative squared error. Now, relative squared error is a relative metric, which is between a value of 0 and 1. And closer the value is to 0, model has performed well. So in this case, if you see, this relative squared error for our model was 0.13. Okay, and it is closer to 0. So I would say our model has performed good because it's closer to 0. Let's see the actual values because these are the screenshot I took last time. Yeah, but yeah, so relative squared error is near to 0. So our model has performed well. Then the next one is relative absolute error. This is again a relative metric, which is, between 0 and 1. And again, if the value is closer to 0, the model has performed well. So again, our value is 0.33. So yeah, it is closer to 0. So our model has performed fairly good. And the last one is coefficient of determination. This is again a metric, which is, which is kind of a variance between the predicted and, your actual values. So like how much how much deviation is between your predicted and actual value. That's the metric which is calculated here. So there are proper formulas for these, which which I use to calculate these metrics. And with coefficient of determination, if the value is closer to 1, the model is performed well. So if you see our value is 0.86735, and it is near to 1, right? So I think our model has really performed well. So that's the way you can evaluate a model. But yeah, obviously in this scenario, I just took like a basic regression model, but there are different kind of models you can test. Like there are other regression models as well, which you can test on this data set and see how your evaluations or model outputs differ. So you can try playing around with different kind of models here and see what kind of outputs they give on the same data set, because sometimes it is really good to see those comparisons, because some model can really perform well on certain kind of features, but some models don't work. So but yeah, my motive was just to show how easy it is to use Azure Machine Learning Studio to just drag and drop stuff. So that's why I just tried to train a simple model here. Okay, now this is a really important thing. Okay, now whatever you do in Azure machine learning area or Azure, anywhere in the Azure portal, if you're doing anything, you get charged for it. Okay, so for example, I can show you something. On the home, there's something called your subscription. So that's the name of the subscription. If you click on it, it kind of gives an idea like how much you have used. Okay, so I think it just takes a few seconds to load. So like, for example, I was given somewhere around 200 USD credits free on this subscription, and I've used this much out of it, right? So whatever compute resources you have created, okay, our next model also, I think, ran. So whatever compute resources you have created, they are chargeable because they are doing something. They are doing some calculations and computations for your model here. And even the resource what you created, it is taking up some space in the Azure area, and it is charging you something for storing the data or storing the results what you have got here. So the best thing, if you're further not going to use anything, the best thing is just go and stop your compute instances. Okay, you can stop them. But suppose if you feel like you won't be working with these in future, so what you can do is you can just delete them, because rather than getting charged unnecessarily, make sure you clean up your resources if you're not going to use them. But for example, if you want to use them in next hour or so, you can just stop them, so at least you won't get charged. Okay, so yeah, that's the only thing I want to tell. Like, make sure you clean your resources once you have finished doing stuff. And okay, there's some question in Q&A. Can you explain again the difference between compute instance and compute cluster? Okay, so compute instance is mainly required for basically running your test model computation. So if you remember, this was the model we got, right? Oh, my deck has just stopped working. Let's go to the Azure environment. So compute instance is basically like a VM which you're assigning to do all the computations. And compute clusters is more around, you can assign. So if you want some kind of parallel processing on your computations, you can use compute clusters. So that's what you are using. But if I mean, sorry about that. I really don't know that stuff in detail because I'm a beginner on this. But the only thing I understand what computations are used for are they are just used for computations what you're making your model to perform. So for them, you use compute instance and compute cluster. But the only thing I can relate to compute cluster is like compute cluster is a group of different VMs that give you more scalability, I think. So I think if you have got more number of VMs clustered together, then your processing will be more, better because you have got parallelly processing multiple VMs to handle your computation. So that's what a cluster is doing. But compute instance is just creating a, instance for you or a small VM for you on top of which you can run the computations. Sorry. Is that okay, Joy? Or you need more details on that? Not sure, Kathy, if Joy is still there. Okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah, what my understanding is more around, these are just used for computations, and clusters just give you, more parallelism on your processing. So yeah, that's what I think they do. So yeah, that is what I wanted to show you guys today. And yeah, I mean, I have added few resources here. So the first three resources are more around the Microsoft official documentation, which I have used before. And they are really good to get started on Azure Machine Learning Studio, because if you're a beginner, just go and start with these resources and they'll be really helpful. And the resource which I refer a lot, I mean, I have this particular resource here, resource 3, I think. So this resource, if you go here, it is like a Git repository where people have, posted different kind of models. They have tried on, these free available data sets. So you can actually go and check them, how they have done that. And, they have given like quite a good explanation as well here, like what these models do and how and why they have been chosen and what all steps they are using and why they're using those steps. So this Git repository is kind of really interesting to refer if you're really a beginner. And if there are people who really want to learn some data science concepts, some basic concepts which are enough for you to get started with Azure Machine Learning Studio, then I have included 4 resources here. And just an add-on, I just wanted to just highlight that there's a certification called Azure AI 900 Fundamental Certification provided by Microsoft. And that certification is more based around this Azure Machine Learning Designer. So if any of you guys want to understand or, understand like how much you know about Azure Machine Learning Designer and want to test yourself, like how much you know creating those no-code based models, I think this certification is really worth taking, because I gave this certification a month back, and yeah, it focuses more on this drag and drop and no code solution that Azure provides you. So yeah, you can definitely look into it. And yeah, while I was preparing for this certification, I created few learning paths in case if you guys want to prefer it. So they are more kind of my documentation as well. So if you want, you can prefer them. And yeah, that's it, guys. I mean, if you guys have got any questions,